Hello, hello. If you just tuned in, you have tuned into the Coaches Lounge with yours truly, Barbara J. Beckley. I love this show because this is a chance that I could help give so much visibility and so much selfishness, I always say now, to the coaches, to the educators, to the mentors, really anybody that's in your life that's pushing you and helping you get to the next level in your life. I always tell people we should be the lighthouse to the world because we have special gifts in us that not only help you in your life, but help so many other people. But sometimes you need other individuals to come into your life and help you get to that point. And that's why I want to give so much love to the coach because, I never really seen a show or a podcast. There might be out there, but the ones I've seen so far, I haven't seen anybody that gives love to the coaches and people that really push the needle for others. So I said, you know what? If I don't see it, I'll create it. And that's what I did. I created this show called The Coaches Lounge. And I just bring them all in. I said, you know what? The biggest thing I want you to do is just tell who you are and hear those backstories and then tell what you do for others and how it just lights up your world. Because I know when I help people and I see where they learn something and you could just tell, it's like in their eyes, their whole face expression just changes. You'd be like, wow, I was a part of that in their lives. It is so powerful. And I know every coach that comes on here, they say the same thing. They said it is wonderful to see people when you're helping them grow and they finally get it. I mean, finally get it. So with that, we have a wonderful, wonderful. Now I have to say, I usually have, I have men and women come on my show, wonderful men and women. And you know what I do? I look at them all as royalty. So I call the women the queens, and I have a king today. Yes, I have a king today, and I can see him down below smiling. I hope he takes that, receives that crown. And Mr. Murray Smith, wow, he is amazing. This man, he really helps out a lot of leadership teams. Really be not just the busyness that we always say, but help them position themselves to understand, to give their own unique. And see, he comes into this uniqueness to deliver value. And you have to understand your own uniqueness in order to grow. Everybody's different. Even though you might be doing the same thing, you still have a uniqueness about you. And I like how he comes in and helps leaders do that, because us as leaders, we just don't just and say, okay, we're supervisors or your managers. Leadership is different than that. So I know he's going to probably get a little to that a lot more. So I'm going to step to the side and come on so we can hear his wonderful journey and really understand what he does for others. This is going to be, I know it's going to be a special interview, and we'll see you in like 60 seconds. We are back. If you're just tuning in, this is the Coaches Lounge with yours truly, Barbara J. Beckley, as your host. And I am here to bring another wonderful guest on this show to spotlight the experts and advice for life and in business. With that said, hello, King Smith. I love to say King.
Hi, Barbara. Thanks for having me on. I really liked your analogy about being a lighthouse.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Too often we see people being a tugboat, not a lighthouse, dragging people around. Really need to be a bit different to that. So, yeah, it's great to see that analogy of lighthouse. It's really important.
I'm going to use that if you don't mind, the tugboat thing. I like that. I like that a lot. So, like I said, this is a time, sir, for you to be selfish. I want you to, I always start off because I love stories. We were just talking about that before we came on. And I love to hear the backstories of how you got to where you are now. So can you give a little bit of that to us?
Well, I'll give you the quick history, if you like, Barbara. So my family's a bunch of engineers. I'm not. And the reason I'm not is because my father started the business, and he used to take me up to the factory. And at the end of the day, I'd still have greasy hands, even after washing them with industrial soap. And I thought, I don't really like this. I'm not going to do this. I don't like dirty hands. So I stayed at school, went to university, got accepted into chemical engineering. Didn't want to do that because I'd just end up with greasy hands again. So I actually ended up in the police force for 15 years, and it was great fun. I loved every minute of it. I didn't even know what day I got paid, but in my second year, I was in a really bad car accident and thought, well, what can I do if I can't do this? So I went back to study, and I studied part-time for 14 years while I was in the police force. And then after that, I sort of just outgrew the police force in terms of all the skills and capabilities, which is part of the journey of being a coach, right? It's continually improving your abilities. And then I was in executive management roles, helping set up anti-corruption commissions and things like that. Not that I did it by myself, it was a whole team of people that did it. And then from there, I was just restructuring organisations and whatnot. And then during that process, I wanted to understand if I could study overseas. And again, it's about challenging yourself. And overseas happened to be your country, the United States. So I did an executive program at Harvard, worked out that I could study, could hack studying overseas. And when I returned to where I live now in Australia, I put an application in to go back to Harvard, and I also applied to go to MIT. And I had the first world problem of being accepted into both, and I had to decide where to go. And I decided that I'd go back to the United States, and I went to MIT and got my MBA from there a few years ago now. But it was great fun. It was a cornerstone of my life. And when I returned, I was really frustrated in those executive roles. But because I had this innate desire to continually help people, a friend of mine handed me a copy of a book called Traction, written by Gino Wickman. And he said, I think you'd really like this book, and you should think about becoming an EOS implementer. And so I read the book, and it resonated with me. And then I went off and did again, challenged myself, went off and did the relevant qualification, if you like, with EOS Worldwide. And then since 2018, I've been doing EOS implementation with businesses, and I've done it about with 60 odd businesses, and done over 480 odd sessions with businesses in most industries, except for maybe entertainment. That's the only industry I don't think I've touched. And so it's been a great journey, and that's how I got to where I am today.
Wow, that's huge. And I'm so glad that you decided to say, you know what, I don't want no dirty hands. I want to go a different route and see what it takes.
Well, yeah, it's a funny way to get there, but it's so true. My two brothers are still involved in that business, and they're doing great. It just wasn't for me. So.
Yeah. And that's what makes everybody unique, because some things are not, even in a family business or whatever, you might not be, you probably, I don't really want to do that. And that's okay, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's kind of, with coaching, or whether it's with businesses that I work with, it comes back to backing yourself. Like it's all about saying, your path is yours to define. Sure, you might need help along the way. And I certainly had help along the way. Yeah. And as everyone does. And it's just about, well, if you want that as your pathway, A, you've got to work for it, and B, you've got to consistently work for it. C, there'll be some people that can give some advice along the way, and it's important that you tap into that, because things done by an individual, and people might say, well, tennis players are individual sports players. Yeah, but they've all got coaches box with about 6 people sitting in them. So everyone generally has a coach of some description.
Some description, a mentor, a person they can go to, and then I always tell people nothing's wrong with that, because some of you are like, well, I don't really want to ask. I said, no, you're doing the opposite. You're doing the wrong way here.
Yeah, exactly right. And if you think through the history of of human beings being on this planet. We spoke earlier about storytelling, but that's also about elders passing on wisdom through story to a younger generation. And whilst coaching isn't always about being older than the person that you're coaching, it's sometimes about just being able to pass that wisdom, that whatever you've gained or wherever you've got it from, and telling them the story that resonates with them, so they can carry it forward. So it's nothing new, is it, really? It's just about how it's framed.
Yes, definitely. And another thing I always tell people too is that you can learn from anybody, any age group. Just a quick story about learning from any age group. I learned from a 5-year-old just 2 days ago at a grocery store. And I was trying to figure out because I'm changing diet. Well, not diet, I'm changing my foods and stuff. And I was like, okay, what do I need here? And I was like in the fruit, section and everything. And I was just thinking. So a little boy came up to me just out of the blue. And I was looking for his parents. Like, okay, where's your parent? You just popped up here. And he's like, he looks at me. He's like, hi. And I was like, hi. I was like, where's your parent? I'm still looking, right? Kind of concerned. And he's like, how you doing? I said, I'm doing good. I said, where's your mother and father? And he's like, he looked around like, he was pointing, and she was like way somewhere else. I said, okay, you need to get close to her because I don't want to make sure you're okay. He said, can't leave yet. And then he pointed to grapes. He said, grapes, get grapes. He said, they're fresh. And then he pointed at the man that was putting the grapes on the thing. And he's like, they're fresh grapes. And then he ran away. And I was like, okay, lesson learned from a 5-year-old.
Trying to teach you something. Yeah, that's exactly right.
I thought that was so cute. But it just, you have to keep your mind open to possibilities of people helping you in any areas because you never know who's going to be. Yeah.
I think that openness, that's one of the things that, if I'm going to start working with a business or a leadership team, whatever the case may be, it's really about and I often get asked, does it ever, when you're working with people and with implementation of EOS, does it ever fail? And I say, yeah, it fails. And it's the same reason it fails every time. And they say, why is that? I says, because the leadership team don't want to lean in. They don't want to do the work. And they're not open enough to actually hear or understand where they want to be. And so that kind of openness that you're talking about is so important to, if you want to be different or you want to be better or whatever the case may be, or you just want to change, then if you're not open to new ways of working and you expect to get the same results by working the way you currently are, then great, good luck. You won't be working with me because it's just not going to happen.
I heard that boundary in there. When you said that.
That's right. There's lots of boundaries, but that's probably the major one for me. It's not so much about size of business. It's really about, do you really want this? Do you really want to be different? Because that's what you're telling me. You're telling me you want to do things differently, but are you prepared to do the work?
Now,
and that's what matters.
I was going to, and thank you for sharing that, because I was going to get into, when it comes to leadership, like you said, they have to lean in, they have to be open. So what are, in your mind, because I like to ask this question when it comes to leadership, what is your definition take of leadership to you? Because everybody has different definitions. I said there is like a definition, but people kind of, tend to go different routes. What is your definition of leadership?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question, because I think with part of the answer is about also understanding what management is, because you can be the greatest leader, and that's like setting vision, all that sort of stuff, and helping people to see what the future might look like. And there's all those really important parts of leadership. And equally, there's those really important parts of management about setting expectations and holding people to account and all those sorts of things. And so I actually think understanding what leadership is by itself is sometimes a dangerous thing to do, because there's so many moving parts that would be described as management. So, but with that in mind, yes, leadership is about setting up a vision and understanding what it looks like, and giving people the capacity to actually follow you or the business and understand what their role is in that. And to understand what their role is in that, you need to apply some level of management. So for me, it's a bit more complex than that. I remember once I was working with a person that said, a leader without followers is just someone out for a stroll. And so it's kind of like, unless you're prepared to put in the work to bring them along with you, which is part of that vision creation and working on the business, but then backing it up with those structures to allow people to actually do their work, then it's going to be a pretty pointless exercise.
You're really dropping some golden nuggets here. You know that. You really are. I love it. Like, I love that. I got to use that too. It's a stroll.
Feel free. It's no problem.
Wow. Yeah. So I like how you say, it's one part of it. You got to set up, make sure people are, you have the tools for them, as I always say. But then also in my mind too, you have to, like I told, lead example. That's the old saying, you got to lead by example. So if I'm going to be a leader, I have to be example for the people that are following me or coming with me, in that capacity.
It's really important that leading by example. I don't know about you, Barbara, but plenty of times in my life, I've been in organisations where they've slapped core values or whatever it might be on walls or on screensavers, and they say, "Oh, we're all about this particular value," and then you actually don't see it delivered by the people that are actually leading an organisation, and you sit there and you think, well, that's not really what we're about then. So two things happen with that: is people disengage, but they also don't trust. And if you don't have trust, then no one's going to buy into what you want to be. So, that example that you give about leading by example is really important. So you've got to walk the talk, otherwise, and hold everyone to the same standard, whether they're your A players who might trip over through to the people that need your attention from time to time that may no longer be suited to your organisation. That doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they're not suited to what you want to do. But that lead by example is so important.
It is. And, the biggest thing that I've been doing I've been doing it from now, I think about it, all the time that I've been in a leadership position, is I don't have any problem saying, okay, you know what, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I made a mistake, and it's okay. I feel like the trust gets to another level a lot of times when you can admit to the people that are working with you around you to say, okay, you know what? This is not this is big time here. So let's, figure out a way to fix it and learn from my mistake, Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah. So to that point, as way of examples, working with a business this week where the leadership team had that very issue arise, they had a problem in the leadership team, and it was well known through the business, and they were trying to work out what are we going to do. And the first step was acknowledge, because everybody knew in the business what had happened, acknowledge that it had happened, that it was a mistake, and that they were working on fixing it. And it's such a powerful thing to do. I mean, you don't want to be doing it every week because that moves from acknowledgement to incompetence, but so you got to be mindful of that. And I'm not suggesting you hide anything, but if you keep having the issues, you've really got to turn the spotlight on yourself and say, are we competent to run this thing? But if there's on an occasion where you say, and I agree with that, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging mistakes along the way. In fact, it's a pretty powerful thing to do.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said it about, you want to be careful, because it could lean into the incompetency part more so than, okay, she's admitting, and that's nice that she's open to admitting this, or he or she, because then you got to look at, like you said yourself, and say, okay, maybe I need to either hire somebody, or maybe delegate whatever is needed.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make those decisions too, and I have done that. Just in my business alone right now, in my network that I have, and this coincides with what you're saying, is I was like my own doing everything type of thing. I didn't have a team, and I seen balls dropping, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be a big problem. The balls drop on me, I got to deal with me. But when the balls drop and somebody else is involved in it that needs my assistance and needs my services and depends on my service, then I have to look at this a little bit different. So I want to get a VA. I said, I got to, get some help here. It's working out. It's really working out.
That's right. So in my world, in the EOS world, that would be a thing around get it, want it, and capacity to do it. We're always looking for yeses on those three questions. Do I get the role, or does the person get the role? Yes, they do. They can technically carry it out. Do they want it? Do they want to get up in the morning and do the job? And then the final one is that capacity question, which can identify those areas that you're talking about where, oh, we're dropping the balls here. Maybe we don't have capacity to do our job well and it's time to grow, or are we doing what we're doing today still what we want to do? All those questions. But as long as you're reflecting, I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I was going to ask you, King, with going like a person that came into your world and said, okay, you know what, we have this business and we really need some help in certain areas, in a lot of areas of this. How do you start off, just like a typical with the client?
So I really like this question because a lot of people, and I'm not sure whether other coaches would do this or not, but if someone rings up and says, hey, Murray, Peter referred me to you and said I should be implementing EOS. And so it's in the early days of coaching, it's very easy to just jump into solution mode and go, yeah, okay, let's talk about EOS. And certainly I was guilty of that in the early days. So, scar for others, don't do that. It didn't change the outcome per se, but it just doesn't build trust. So what I find is when people ring me up and ask about, working with me, the first question is that I ask them is, why do you think that EOS is going to make a difference to you? And they'll talk to me about that. They'll say, oh, all the things that you've just talked about, oh, well, we don't have accountability in our business and all this sort of thing. And I say, well, why do you think that is? Why don't you have that now? And they'll talk through that. And then it's about, well, what's stopping you from getting that? And I still haven't even spoken about what I do yet. I'm still trying to just understand what's happening in their business. And then it's about saying, well, what's stopping you? And it's, well, we don't have the clarity or whatever it might be. So, well, does that mean, would you like some help with that in terms of what that might look like? If you did have all of that, what would the business look like? And then they can see the picture of what their business would look like. And that's at that point where I'll then reflect back and I'll say to them, okay, so what I'm hearing is this. And I'll replay what I've heard them say to make sure it's right. And also to make sure I'm not making an assumption. And then if they say, yeah, that's how it is, that's how I'm feeling, then I can feel like I can add value in terms of I'm not making assumptions, and then I can see whether there's a gap that needs to be filled with what I do or not. And because fit is a two-way conversation. If it is a fit, then, I'll talk to them more about EOS in terms of what it gives you and the business. And then I'll then go to a point where it's, okay, well, we should meet, we'll do a 90-minute meeting, and I'll take them through the whole EOS, what it looks like, what implementation is, and then what the fees that are associated to that. And at the end of that, they'll be in a position to make a decision. And that decision might be yes, or it might be a no. I don't mind what it is, as long as they've got something from it. Clearly, if I'm that far invested, I'd like to see people get better and I'd like them to use EOS, but it's still their call. And from that perspective, there's also a fit question there, as I said earlier. So the fit question can be asked by a coach all the way through. Even once you're engaged, is about, am I the best fit for them, and are they the best fit for me in terms of where they're at in their journey? So long answer to a short question, but that's how I do it.
Well, I love the long answer because that's good. People can know exactly what to look for when they want to work with you. And also, I love how you said, it's not so much, and because I used to do it too, where I was like, I just wanted to fix everybody's problem, I wanted to get the solution, right? And I had to back from that and say, wait a minute, it's a different way of doing this than just trying to get that, ending result. And also understanding that every person's is different what their needs are. So I like how you have those conversations where you're like, okay, they're telling you basically what's going on, what they need, what's not working, all that. And then you can kind of, in your mind, as you're listening to them, to see, okay, I can help them in that area, or maybe not so much in that, or maybe they need something a little bit different than what they're even thinking, Yeah,
that's right.
So I like how you really figure all that out with them before you say, okay, let's do what we need to do,
Yeah. So thank you. So the easiest way to describe that for anyone listening or watching is it's problem before product. Understand the problem, and if you've got a product that you think might solve that problem, great. But if you don't understand what the problem is, then there's no point talking about your product.
No. And then the problem that I'm going to add some of that too. And the problem that they have, you might not have the solution.
Yeah, correct. You just might make it worse.
Yeah. So you gotta see, that's a trust issue again. Because I have some, people that come to me. Everybody doesn't. I don't work with everybody, and I'll let them know when we have that discovery call. When I call them, is that what, I can't really in that capacity. I work with this and this, and I see that you need this. So a lot of times I'll refer them.
Yeah.
People that I know that can, help them with that problem. And sometimes they come back to me and say, Barbara, you know what? We appreciate you not just wanting some dollars from us to be a client. We appreciate that you see that, maybe I can't do this, but I know somebody that might be able to help.
Yeah.
People honor that you more because you're still caring about them, still. Yeah.
Yeah. It's also that concept of karma, isn't it? Like, it's kind of like, do the right thing, otherwise, and help first, which are core values of EOS, but it's kind of like do the right thing and help first, because if you don't, the karma bus will come along and get you.
Yeah. Plus, it's going to make it harder for you to work with them because in your mind somewhere that, this is not, this is not going to work.
Yeah, and look, we've all been there. We've all been there. Like, honestly, we've all worked with businesses, that have been more challenging than others, and you just think, why am I doing this? And certainly in the early days, that's a trap you can fall into, because it's just like, help anyone. But part of that is just understanding that what might be at first. Like, some people come to you and they might behave like that. That doesn't mean dismiss them, because that's partly why they're coming to you.
Yeah.
But you've just got to weigh up. The fit question is more about values fit, cultural fit, not technical fit, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And having that, like you as a coach and me as a coach, that listening ear to really listen to what really is needed, and not just assuming, like you said, something that they need. So to make that fit. Wow. Yeah. Powerful. One more thing I know we're getting close to, because I want to get some time on the screen to give me lasting thoughts. But one thing I wanted to, because I know you work with a lot of businesses, is you mentioned something about, how to position yourself as a coach to businesses and understanding your own uniqueness. And I'm really, I love that, the uniqueness part to deliver the value. So how do you help in that capacity?
Yeah, I think as any coach, you've sort of got to know your own strengths and weaknesses. So I know my strengths in terms of, that sort of honesty. I'm going to do what's best for the business. If that means I'm going to say things that might be challenging for people in the room, I'm going to do it anyway, because that's my style. It's about, let's do what's right. And it's not a take no prisoners approach, but it's like understanding that my strength is just saying it how it is, and really calling it out and entering the danger, if you like, is a term that's used a lot. But that's my skill. Other coaches might have a skill about greater emotional connection, or whatever that might look like. And when I'm working with businesses or thinking of working with them in that 90-minute meeting, at the end of it, I always say to them, if you're looking for someone to rub you on the back and give you a cuddle, that's not me. I'm the guy that will come in and tell you exactly how it is. And if that means that, people get upset by that, I'm sorry, but that's how I roll. So that's my uniqueness about how I deliver. And I'm not suggesting that's the only way to do it. I'm just saying that's how I do it. So that uniqueness is what I bring to the table. Now, there'll be others that do it differently, and that's okay. But it's about understanding what your strengths are. Mine are around governance, structure, risk management, disciplined execution, all that sort of stuff. Not about how are you feeling today. I'm not suggesting I'm not unemotional, but it's not my strength, and I'm aware of that. So that's what I mean by uniqueness. So for coaches, it's about really understanding what you bring to the table, your strengths, and don't try to improve your weaknesses. just get better at being stronger at what you are. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody's going to deliver the value in their own uniqueness. Like you said, like I like, so you and me are the kind of the same where I'm really direct. You know, I get to the point on things. Not saying I don't care, because if I didn't care, I wouldn't even do that part.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I said, if I really didn't care, we wouldn't even be talking. So I care to the point of getting to what we need to go to. Then you got some where they're kind of more of, you know, that's why you have a lot of different types of coaches and different personalities from them.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
We resonate with you on that one.
Yeah. I don't know how I picked that up, but there you go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So I want to give you some time. Leave any lasting thoughts, and then we'll come back and we'll let them know how they can contact you.
Right. Thanks, Barbara. So in terms of some thoughts, firstly for coaches, really understand your uniqueness. What is it that you're bringing to the table? And understand that business development's really hard. So find your way to do that. Don't try to be something you're not. In terms of for businesses that are listening, what I would say to you is there's not a lack of ideas in your business, there's a lack of execution. So from that perspective, please make sure that you're just disciplined execution. And so what does that look like? Consistency beats motivation every time. When you feel like you don't want to do it anyway, because that's what's going to make the difference. So they're the two things that I give. And in terms of that, one other tip for coaches is don't overreach. Deliver what's unique to you. Don't try to do things that aren't within your realm of skills. Just do what you do really well.
Powerful. I love it. I love when you said, you know what, do it anyway.
Yeah. It makes a difference.
It makes it. Do it anyway. Because I always tell people, even if it doesn't turn out right, or it didn't go the way you wanted it, or whatever, or it wasn't just whatever, at least you tried, you did it. You
that's right.
Went to that point. Because I would hate to feel like, okay, if I don't do it, then I got the other question in my mind. Well, maybe if I would have done it, maybe this would have happened. If I'd done it, this would get all that out. Just try to do it. Just do it and see.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. So this has been a joy. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
and
Barbara,
I got to say, you're from Australia, right?
Yes.
That makes
You've gone global.
That's what I was about to say. You just took the words right out of my mouth. I said, I went global. Yes. I love global.
Yeah.
I love my global friends and family.
And to that point, Barbara, just quickly, to that point is this. Everything, whether it's coaching or businesses, the struggles or the need for coaching is the same. It's a universal thing. So whether you're in Australia or the United States or anywhere else in the world, these principles apply equally.
Yes. Thank you for putting that out there. You're so true. Just so right. And, be open. Again, I'm going to say this one more time because I stress it. Be it in the United States, like you said, in global. That's why I like being global, because you can get your coaching or anything from anywhere, as long as you get what you need. So don't side yourself and say, well, I just deal with this, so I go over. No, be open. So with this, I put how they can reach you, sir, and to let you know you're always welcome back to the Coaches Lounge. Anything that's coming up in your world that you want to be selfish with, please come back. We're always a pleasure.
Right. Appreciate that, Barbara. Thanks for having me on. It's been fantastic.
Yes, it has. I love this, and I love what you gave, the golden nuggets, and let everybody know, please. I hope if you seen it live when we put on there, you see it live or you see it over and over again, take notes. And if you want to reach out, you need this type of help in your business. Straight shooter, straightforward he is, which is good, because you need that to move to the next level. Don't stop yourself because you feel like you don't need anybody. So with that said, we'll see you at the next Coaches Lounge. And always remember that you need other people to help you so you can shine with your own gifts that you have in you. So come from here to out. And like I said, being that lighthouse to the world. You take care.